Everyone, welcome to Lauren's Scraplot and Season 5, Episode 6 of the Great North American Stamping Show. A big congratulations to Julie Salva, who took the crown last week for the second time in a row in her version of our project layout card. So every week we pick something from this catalog, the annual 2025 to 2026 catalog, and the Kitsugi Inspirations page on page 58 was our inspiration last week. So Julie, Jody, Lisa, and I picked one card from this page and decided to recreate it using something from our own collections. So I decided to go with this guy up in the top right hand corner, and I made this fun diagonal card. So there you go. If you want to check out that video, you can head to my YouTube channel after this and look. But this week we decided to go not with a suite, but with a couple different layouts. So on page 90 and 91, we had creative license to recreate any of these 4 cards. And these were fun, kid-focused cards with some very bright and vibrant colors. So I'm excited to see what the ladies come up with. We'd love to invite you to craft with us because we're giving you all of the measurements for our projects. If you want, you can click pause, I know at least on mine, and find all the measurements in the description. And then you can come and build the card with us in the future. But the fun thing is you don't have to copy everything we're doing. Just like we're taking something from the catalog and repurposing it, you can also use your own stamps, your own paper, your own sentiments, whatever you want, and recreate a project along with us. But before you leave, if you are recreating something else, I would love for you to make sure you take a time to put a comment in each of our videos, as well as to click the like button on the project that you love the most. I put the video links to the other 3 ladies in the comments. You are welcome to check out all of them in any order you want. But if you give us a vote before Sunday on whose card you love the most, we can crown a winner for Season 5, Episode 7 next week. Now, I'm going to move this out of the way, and I should tell you, I guess, before I close this up, you've probably guessed already which card I'm recreating. Okay, so I am a sucker for the stylish shapes dies, which is what is being used in this little card here on the left. So I thought that was adorable. I love the idea of the circles and the ripped paper. So I'm going to recreate it using the Celebratory Sips Suite. Once again, I know, very original, but come on, look how cute these both are. I think anyone's going to be excited, and I have 2 very dear friends that we're actually going camping with this weekend, and one had a birthday on the 1st of July, and one's having a birthday on the 11th, so I need some girl cards for them. So I'm going to recreate this card with you. I have a few fun blending tips for you to color these little guys, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to rip your paper and get the cards set up. So come craft with me. Let's get going. Here's Cheers and Sips, I should say. Here's the Cheers and Sips bundle. It is part of the Celebratory Sips Suite. So I have pulled out from here the adorable little blackberry and this lemon, which also could be a lime or an orange. And I've got the word cheers, but you have so many other potential options, and that's going to be a really great focus for your card no matter what you do. The dies in here, of course, are great. Lots of them do complement the stamps, and then these 2 here can be used both with the stamps and with the designer series paper, so you can cut out a bunch of the card losing my words here. You can cut out a bunch of the pre-printed cups and glasses on that paper as well. Now these guys, I didn't use as much. I fussy cut this guy because I wanted to get this little sprig out of there, but that's okay, we'll be fine. We're going to start with a card base, and I've kind of just been having a little too much fun with Blackberry Bliss, so we're going to cut this 4 1/4 by 9 1/2, and score at 4 3/4. So this was a non-traditional size card because I saw the one in the catalog was quite small. It actually looked like it almost could be a square, but I wanted a little difference, so I made mine a rectangle. So we've got those two things cut and measured. Now we're going to fold this in half and give a nice burnish so the card opens from the bottom to the top. Okay. Now on the inside of our cards, we always like to have something to write on. So I'm going to get you started with at least a piece of white. I'm not going to make you cut this designer series paper yet because I'd actually like to encourage you not to add it until you get to the end of your paper pack and have scraps left over. There's no point wasting a brand new piece of paper on a little strip. You're going to have tons of strips left over once you start playing with the paper and you have scraps left. Okay, so these things in the inside, as long as it's 4 inches wide, it can be 1/2 inch, it can be 3/4 inch, it can be 1 inch, just to cover the bottom and add a little life. But here's your white piece. We've got 4 by 4.5, and that's going to go on the very inside of your card here. Use a flat adhesive of your choice. So whether that is seal, tape, or glue, you can add that to the inside right now. And if you're like me and have nails, you might want to take your pick tool and pull those edges up. There we go. Now I have successfully decimated my package of Celebratory Sips paper because I've been creating all sorts of things for my Fun Fold class in August and for my videos here and my class coming up in July. So I have scraps. I cut this one at 1/2 inch by 4 inches, but you can see this one is even smaller and you could have other ones that are different sizes too. So there's a piece for me. On the note of classes, if you are in Canada, I do mail out kits to anybody who wants them. So you're welcome to check out my Facebook page, Lauren Scraplot, or message me directly and I'll send you my calendar. They come with a video tutorial very much like this one, and you can craft with me and have all the stuff at your fingertips pre-cut. All right, close this up. Here we go. Now we need to add a piece of designer series paper to the front of the card. So if you are feeling generous, you can use an entire piece of 4 by 4.5, and that will be your background piece. If perhaps you are short on paper, what you can instead do is you can cut a piece that's about 1.5 inches by 4 and put it across the top, and about 1.5 inches by 4 and put it across the bottom. And then we're going to cover the middle with another piece so nobody will notice the difference. Okay, so this is just for your ease, but technically if I was to cut this, I could cut this in 3 and I could take this middle part and use it on another card, and so that would make my paper go further. This is 4 by 4.5. Just if it's a directional piece, make sure the 4 inches is going across the top of your page and the 4.5 is coming down the long way. So that's important if you're using like flowers or grass or something like that that has a very distinct direction. Go. Okay. Putting you on. It doesn't really matter with this piece because it is multi-directional, but every once in a while we figure out which way we want it to go. There you go. Okay, next we're going to add that ripped feature that we saw from the catalog card. So this piece to start, and ignore the rip part because it was ripped from this one here. This is about 3 by 4. Okay, so if you've got something slightly less, something slightly more, don't stress about it, but it's about 3 inches by 4 inches. It for sure has to be 4 inches across, but the 3 inch is negotiable. Okay, so I already had one side ripped because I was ripping this first sample, but what we're going to do is near the bottom edge, we're going to pull up towards ourself, and you'll soon see the white showing. And you just kind of wiggle this a couple ways, okay? Just don't do a purely straight line, but don't angle it and cut off a ton of this. Just wiggle it so the paper kind of comes apart and you're left with something that looks relatively like this. Now you can choose either side. These are all the cups that you can cut out. So I was very reluctant actually to use this pattern, but I had a piece left over. So we're going to add this to the card using something flat again. I know, we'll get dimension, don't worry. I can't really do a card without it. So double-sided tape and dimensionals, kind of my kryptonite. It's very strange if I have a card without. And this just goes right in the middle. Oh, I feel like I didn't trim you to 4 inches. Let me grab my trimmer for a second, sorry. I use the guillotine because he's stronger. Yes, I did not trim that. Ha! Oops. Let's try this again. Hopefully you all cut it properly. There we go. 4 inches across. There. Oh, I need to center you a little bit better. Why I never press things down right away. There we go. Okay, here's the fun part where we're going to start adding some of those stylish shaped circles. So I'm going to move this base out of my way for the moment, and we're going to work on building all of those extra pieces for the card before assembling everything together. Okay, so stylish shaped circles. If you look at the set, it comes with it's my favorite set, especially if you're somebody who's starting out and just wondering, what should I buy first? This is great because it comes with banners, squares, and circles. So of course you're getting the most for your money just by buying one set of dies that give you so many different potentials. So these circles, I used the smallest one for my little blackberry. I used the next one for the lemon, and then we skipped one and went to this third one here, and that's going to be the one I put under my cup. So I cut all of those out on basic white. You can switch up colors and do whatever you want, but this is just a really, really great set if you're looking for something to have on hand and easily accessible. Okay, we're going to start with the cup because it's just easy. I grabbed a cup and fussy cut it out from my designer series paper. I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals on the largest circle that we've got. 1 and 2. And we're going to tuck that right on here. I'm going to throw dimensionals on the back of this circle just so it's ready to go, but don't take the backings off quite yet. We're just going to get this ready and have it available to us when we're building the card. Next, we're going to do our lemon. So I grabbed my Darling Duckling new in color ink. You, of course, could use anything that is current. And before you stamp this, this is the technique that I'm going to show you. These are little blender pens. They come, I think, in a pack of 3, and they can be used with any color that you want. So you just kind of rub them off on scrap paper to clean them, and then they're good to add a little bit of dimension to your project. Okay, so you have to do this while the ink is wet. So we're going to ink, settle in there. And then, do you see the difference between my 2 lemons right now? You can see how this one's kind of got a little depth with more coloring, and that one's very stark. It's great. If you don't have these blender pens, don't worry. But if you have blender pens, you're going to go where the ink is concentrated the most and just rub gently. Because remember, we're not using watercolored paper right now, which is very forgiving when you add water, or in this case, some alcohol. You don't want to break the fibers of the paper, so don't color over the same spot a ton. But do you see how it kind of built out some of that color in the middle? And then gently, gently pull a little bit to the edge here. You don't really want a ton of color, but just a little bit of shading. And I know the yellow is interesting to see, but it's good. Then you're going to grab a scrap piece of paper and you just rub this off until you don't see any more of the color that you previously used. If you really wanted a lot of color, let's say you want to use this blender pen and like color this to the max, you can use blends markers. Or what you can do is you can press these ink pads kind of into their lids a bit, and there should be this dot of ink that comes out. Then you can use your blender pen and you can pick up some ink and use it to color and shade. So I don't want to do a ton. I'm just going to add little dark accents, kind of the seeds, I guess. But I certainly could sit here and build this color darker and darker if I wasn't getting enough from my stamped image. So for sure I need to clean this up again. Give me a second. You can see that's yellow. Color till it's clear. There we go. That's good. Now, there are two sides to this, of course. So if you're going to be going back and forth continuously, then you can use both sides and then clean them off at the end. They're the same thickness, and you have 3 of them in the pack, so you can keep coloring too. Let's try the blackberry one. This one is kind of fun because we're going to grab the Blackberry Bliss ink. We're going to grab that baby little blackberry, which also could be a raspberry, whatever you want. I went with blackberry because of my color choice. And this one, you can clearly see the difference in this colored in purple grape look and something that's very plain. So once again, grabbing your blender pen, and as soon as you start coloring, you can see the color move. I'm even going to zoom you in. Hold on, give me 1 second. Zoom you in. Look at that. Look how beautiful that colors. It just pulls the color out, and you have this colored in grape or blackberry. Okay, put dimensionals on the back of these two, but don't take the backings off yet. We're not quite ready for that. I need some end pieces for this one. I like to use the end pieces of my dimensionals as well. There you go. That's ready. Now we need a sentiment. So I used a old olive ink, and I grabbed myself just a strip of white. You're going to notice this is way longer than I need, but that is so you can choose a different sentiment if you want. I went with the word cheers that came in the stamp set. So we're going to just dab, dab, dab that. I think I need to re-ink this ink pad, and I forgot before the video. Cheers. There we go. I'm going to stamp towards the left-hand side here. And then, oops, you were a little off. Good thing there's 2 sides to every paper. It's tricky to stamp in front. There we go. That's much nicer. It's about a 1/2 inch thick. I think I mentioned that. If you want that buffer so it's a little bit more forgiving, about 3/8 of an inch is a little bit nicer. So I wanted to keep the continuity between my ripped paper and my ripped tag. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rip up towards myself. And now I've got that ripped border on the cheers word as well. We need dimensionals, and don't forget that was my ugly side, so we can cover it up. Always 2 sides to every paper, and at worst you'd recut something else. We're fine. Okay, let's get attaching. I'm going to take off all my backings, so I'm good to go. 1 and 2. I forgot I'm zoomed in. You can't see some of these things. Here we go. Let me get you back in the screen, but this is probably good to keep you zoomed for a second. Let's zoom. Okay, we're going to start with the cup. That one's going to go on the right-hand side, centered, however possible, in your ripped zone. Then we're going to add our sentiment, and that's going to go in the top left of the rip zone. Sounds like we're surfing. And I just lined it up to the edge of my designer paper. It didn't go right to the edge of the card. Next is going to be these two little guys. So they are going to overlap each other. And you can see here, this section, it worked out a little smaller than this one, but that is totally fine. So I'm just going to tuck this guy in underneath instead now and kind of create a layered effect. Oops, turn your blackberry the right way and tuck your blackberry in the side. And look at that. It doesn't really matter whether you've got the cascade coming all the way down here or there's a separation. I'm happy either way. If you wanted to add some bling, you certainly could. There's some great embellishments in our catalogs, including one that I thought would be quite nice with this. This is a new set called Sparkle Dots, Low Profile Sparkle Dots, and it came out as one of our online exclusive items. So that is part of the Painterly Pears Suite, this guy right here, but it's got the Darling Duckling color as well as the Mossy Meadow and Old Olive shades. So make sure to check out the new online exclusives because there's some great stuff in there. There's 3 brand new suites and lots of bundles and Halloween stuff. So I'm waiting on my order. I'll try and do something Halloween-y for you at some point. But this is the set I thought you could use. Of course, you have plenty of other choices. Now, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, because I also post videos on Tuesdays and sometimes periodically. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again next Tuesday for another edition of the Great North American Stamping Show. Bye, you guys!